I was having a little debate with somebody on the phone last night, and I was a little rough around the edges because it's been so long since I dabbled with this topic. But he was like, Andre, everyone who got their shots, I don't know a single person who regrets making that decision. Now, what he's talking about was the virus from many years ago when we had the complete lockdown. I'm sure y'all remember. I actually do agree with him. I don't know a single person who didn't get their shots and they regret not getting it. But oddly, I know a lot of people who got their shots and regret getting their shots. This is the first time I had this first time I had the vid, right? It hit me hard. I remember it hit me like I felt physically and mentally weak. I was sleeping a lot. It felt like a normal flu, but more intense. You know what I'm saying? And I remember saying to myself, I can see how someone can die from this. But despite this, I never got my shots. Still, after suffering. Why? Because I don't leave the house. Well, at that time period, I wasn't leaving the house. Then about 2 years ago, maybe about a year and a half ago, right? I wouldn't even say half. That wouldn't make any sense. I went to a Christmas party and then I got it again. And this time I was only coughing a lot. I did lose my taste and my smell, but I made it through. I remember not uploading any videos during that time because I was ill, obviously, and I still didn't get my shot. For the past, I've been going out a lot more, right? And I haven't been, like past year, I've been going out and I haven't caught anything despite being around people now. So at this point, I haven't really thought about getting any of the shots, right? So I was telling this guy on the phone that story, right? And what my situation is. And he started saying something wild. First, he rambled about the vid, all right? Then he rambled about the shots. And in the middle of the rant, he called the shot, right? The mark of the beast. Now, mark of the beast, bro. You really gonna call it the mark of the beast? I just kept letting him ramble at this point. I've heard people say Neuralink, that computer chip that they're gonna put in your brain now. They say that's the mark of the beast. The shots are the mark of the beast. And I've heard so many different things. And why do people say that? It's because a lot of companies are experimenting with microchip implants right now. And in the book of Revelation in the Bible, which I'm going to talk about today, really, it mentions that the mark of the beast is something that is bound to your right hand or your forehead. So when people feel like they're getting a chip or a shot or something like that, it's an allegiance with the Antichrist. Ooh. Now, I don't believe in any of this stuff. I think the book of Revelation is a questionable part of the Bible. I don't even think it should be part of it, in my opinion. It's the last book for a reason. I mean, it's closure, but it becomes too dramatic. It basically describes the end of the world. There's a dragon in the book. Skyrim out of nowhere, bro. Like angels playing trumpets because who taught them how to do that, by the way? You know what I'm saying? What if somebody misses a note? Is that possible? Like I do have a metaphysical interpretation of this, but I don't know if the author of this book, John of Patmos, who apparently had a revelation to write the book of Revelation, was mentally unwell, or perhaps he was high off or something. Now, it's a weird piece of work, right? 4 horsemen, the false prophet, the beast, the dragon, the 7 seals. Then suddenly Jesus Christ returns and obviously defeats the evil. Of course, it will say that. Then there's a last judgment where, were you a God-fearing man or woman? Were you? Well, now you get judged for it. And then God decides to create a new heaven and earth where suffering doesn't exist anymore. And divine beings fully integrate with humanity if you are a worthy person. Sounds like an interesting story, right? That's like the quickest summary I could give of it. So when people talk about the mark of the beast, it's a sign that the world is ending soon. Like we thought was going to happen with the lockdown a few years ago. Now, if I can rationalize this, I think the author of this biblical text was not necessarily high, but I do have suspicion that this individual was having naturally occurring visions due to isolation. If you do some research on John of Patmos, the author of the book, which somehow the book made it to the Bible, so I don't understand that part, you'll read that he was exiled to an island, John of Patmos, and basically hid in a cave until he died. Now let me ask you, if you get put on an island, right, alone, if you're put into extreme isolation under harsh conditions like John of Patmos, I do believe you may begin facing delusions because of the many conditions like he was in. Also, he's in a dark cave. Think of sensory deprivation, whatever the word is, right? I think I use that right. And on top of the isolation, on top of the limited food, and you got the sensory problem. Like at this time, like I can see he's probably has some religious devotion going on. So he wrote a book about dragons, angels playing trumpets, and the mark of the beast, and how the world's going to end. It's, you know, here's the thing. What the things that he was going through, I think it's perhaps a reflection of his mental state. Now, I mentioned before that I don't take the book serious, at least for the most part. I do see it through a metaphysical lens. I do have interpretation. And when it comes to the mark of the beast, I think it's important to start with the preface about how I view the concepts of that, right? See, I don't believe in the devil or as a literal red-skinned being with horns and a pitchfork ruling some fiery underworld. Like, what is he doing there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in that stuff. That imagery to me is like mythological and symbolic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't really think that's a thing, you know? Like when people talk about the devil, some spooky guy, you know what I'm saying, in religious terms, I translate that in my head to something more internal. The self-destructive forces within. I see the devil as part of ourselves that works against our higher purpose. I think everyone's got the devil in them. But we got our dark side and we got our light side, right? The devil side of us is our own ego-driven behaviors, addictions, fears, pride, greed, and attachment to material things. Not some outside force tempting us in some fiery underworld, but it's our own unconscious sabotage. In this sense, again, like I mentioned, everyone carries a devil within them. It's the shadow side of human nature, the animalistic, untamed part of ourselves that prioritizes survival, power, and immediate gratification over spiritual growth or long-term purpose. And when you really think about it, this inner darkness is the beast. The quote beast in Revelation doesn't have to be some antichrist figure in the world. It can be the damaged, unconscious ego that lives inside of us. Now, let's talk about the mark, right? What is a mark? A mark is a symbol, a sign of identification, allegiance, or ownership. It's something that communicates who or what you serve or what you're aligned with, right? So when Revelation talks about the mark of the beast, it's not like some barcode or some microchip conspiracy, bro. Like I see it as symbolic of someone who has fully given themselves over to their lower nature. Their life, their thoughts, their actions are all driven by the ego, by fear, by control, by the material world. They are marked by their complete identification with that beast within. And here's where it really gets interesting. Revelation, and because if you're not following me, think about it like this. This is where it gets interesting here. Revelation says the mark is either placed on your forehead or on the hand. I don't think that's random. And I think there's a reason why it's in the book. The forehead represents the mind, your thoughts, your consciousness. The hand represents your actions, what you do in the world. You think with your head and you use your hands, correct? So metaphysically, this means you can be marked by the beast in two ways: by how you think or by how you act. That's why it says in the book, you get the mark of the beast on your forehead or your hand. If your thoughts are dominated by fear, greed, hate, lust, or ego, your mind is marked by the beast. If your actions hold these same things, your hands are marked by the beast. The scary part about all of this, most people don't even realize they've been marked. I'm marked. We're all marked. And people don't want to say that because I love God, I love you. Bro, this is how I'm interpreting it, at least. Because in this world, right, that encourages overconsumption, narcissism, and detachment from spiritual awareness, it's easy to slip into this unconscious way of being. It's not just about doing evil things, right? It's about being cut off from your higher self, from like love, compassion, truth, and unity. So no, I don't believe the devil is some external being, or the beast is some external being whispering in people's ears, right? I believe the devil is that part of us that forgets who we really are. The mark of the beast is what we wear when we abandon ourselves, our being for ego, our truth for survival, and our potential for comfort. And when you look at it that way, Revelation, the book of Revelation, stops being about like some spooky Dungeons and Dragons, like some crazy story about the end of the world. And it starts being almost like a map of the inner war happening inside of every single person. Because that's how it all ends. It's the book of Revelation. It's the last book. For real, that's how it all ends. Not just in the book of Revelation, but within the individual. This is why I said John of Patmos is reflecting his own mental state into the book. You hold the mark of the beast, not on the literal sense. But when you do, right, you witness chaos in your life. What happens when you let your lust get to you? When you let your ego get to you, your hate get to you, your fear, your greed, you're just on a pathway. There's just chaos all in your life. You know what I'm saying? And this could go down two pathways now with this topic. So for those Christians watching this video, you can say, when you go down that pathway of chaos, then it says in the book of Revelation, Jesus is your savior. Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the one who defeats the beast, right? That higher or divine nature is what redeems you from the chaos of ego. Jesus, your salvation. Sometimes people use the term or phrase Christ consciousness, where that inner light inside of you begins to see clearly and begins to love purely and feel like fear or any other attachments that were holding them back, it's gone now. You feel freedom. But for those who aren't into traditional Christianity stuff, right, I would take the esoteric interpretation that I personally take. In the book of Revelation, I interpret Jesus as a state of consciousness, where that inner light I mentioned tries its best to rise above the unconscious mind, the shadows of the unconscious mind. The book of Revelation, like I said, is almost like a map. It's like a journey from the unconsciousness to awareness, from chaos to clarity, from separation to unity. Unity. Because remember how it ends. New world, new earth rather, new heaven, and the divine being is integrated with humanity. Hence, unity. I mean, here's a black and white way to think about what I said in today's video, right? The beast, the quote beast, is the false self. The quote mark is the identification of it. And I'll pick apart something else in the book. The Whore of Babylon. You heard of that before? The Whore of Babylon? The Whore of Babylon is your distraction, aka pleasure without purpose. A lot of these symbols or characters or whatever in the book of Revelation, I think has a signal of what it's telling you, what is holding you back, what is leaving you attached. So like going back to the Whore of Babylon, bro, like it's a distraction, pleasure without purpose. Why are you being your meat, bro? Like, hey, why are you being your meat? Because you attach to pleasure. And that has zero purpose besides making you addicted to it and making you addicted to whatever you're watching while you're beating your meat. Okay. Does that really serve a purpose for you? Seriously. Besides the pleasure, right? Pleasure, but that's pleasure without purpose, without meaning. Like, same thing with alcohol, smoking, anything. You have indulgences without meaning. You have pleasures without purpose. How does any of this stuff make you a better human being? I don't know. I don't know how being your meat makes you a better person, a better human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how that helps you get more money. I don't know how that helps you, learn more. I don't know. What are you gonna do with that information, bro? Like, besides just really just lusting, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. And see, that's why I interpret the Whore back. I could keep going on a lot of things. This video's gonna get long, right? But like, and in the book of Revelation, again, they mentioned this new world. That new world, that new Jerusalem, they say, that's the inner kingdom of peace, where you finally feel freedom from the illusion of fear and the ego and lust and greed and all that other stuff. You enter a place of awareness. So nobody's perfect, by the way. So I don't think when I said earlier that everyone has the mark of the beast, I meant it in a sense where you're actually using these attachments as something that you're actively doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you're signing yourself up with something right now at the same time. You get what I'm saying? Like that's that the devil has what do people say? That people always be like the devil was talking to me or some nonsense, whatever. I don't know how the saying goes. But anyway, the mark of the beast and the end of the world, the book of Revelation, right? It is the end of the world. No, listen. The book of Revelation, it's the end of the world. It's the end of your world. That's the point of the book. It is it doesn't make sense now, at least in my perspective. The book is a bit unhinged, but mind you, perhaps it's deeply symbolic rather than to be taken literally. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Cosmic Pluralism. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. Times Square.
Nightmare 7 a.m. in the morning though. No surprise. Times Square's you and I under those lights. No disguise. Don't tell me everything you wanted was a lie. All those city lights, it's an endless night. Never expected you to bring me so much life. Close my eyes too long, then it's time to say goodbye. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Caution. Wait a moment, keep my heart locked away, it's filled with emotion. Gave the key to you, right in front of you is open. Hey, try your best to not leave it broken. Oh, it's been a while since you know it's frozen. Not the